Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Pre-Med Voice, the podcast where your voice is heard. I'm your host, Payne Smith, and today we have Curtis Mensah talking to us about a subject a lot of us would like to just ignore, but as we enter into the medical field is something we're going to have to face head on, and that's death. Unfortunately, Curtis has had a first-hand experience with death, and today he's willing to share that experience with us and how it has affected him. So without further ado, here is Curtis.
Turn up, let's go. Turn up, let's go.
Hey, Pre-Med Store, this is Curtis Mensah here. I'm a 2017 graduate of Stony Brook University, and I'm also a second-year master's student at New York Medical College. This is my second and final year, and so I'm going to graduate, God willing, in 2019. Definitely looking forward for that, and looking forward to applying in the 2019-2020 cycle as well. And so I just wanted to share a personal experience that really strengthened my desire to want to become a physician. This is something that took me a lot of time to sit on, took me a lot of time to digest and process, and I would say that I'm still processing it. And but it definitely made me think a lot. It definitely challenged a lot of the things that I had in mind already, but it definitely made me feel that, all right, this is something that's really going to make me work even harder to make my goals come to fruition. And so, like many of you that want to be doctors, I would say there's a lot of us that have had an experience in which somebody that was close to us passed away. And so I just wanted to talk about an experience in which I met somebody that was not necessarily close to me, but witnessing them pass away was something that really, really, really made me think a lot. That really made me just ponder just life as a whole and my real desire to become a physician and what my reasons were to want to become a physician. So I'll just spare a lot of the details, I guess, but actually, no, I'll tell the story and then I'll talk about how it made me feel and how I process it going forward. So basically what happened was a friend of mine, I'm a worship leader in my church. And so I get involved with a lot of like worship activities in other churches and different ministries that take place within my church with young adult and main services and things of that nature. So I had the opportunity to help one of my friends minister at the young adult service, and he was bringing two of his friends to come and also help us minister. And this was the first time that I ever got the chance to sing with a group of guys only. It's usually men and women, but this was the first time that I had the opportunity to do so with just an all-guy group. And so I was really excited about the experience because of just the opportunity to make music and just worship and things of that nature. And I had heard that one of the other guys coming, who actually shares the same first name as me, was also a really dope vocalist. And so I was really excited for that and excited to get down with them. And so I met them at about 4 p.m. on a Sunday, getting ready for a 6 o'clock service. And so we met and everything was cool, and we rode to church and we were just like, all right, we're going to rehearse or something, like rehearse like for like an hour, just go over the music and everything, and it will be cool. And we're going to do what we do. And so we got ready and we were in the foyer of our church and we were just going through all the music, and it was beautiful. It was like, I couldn't even believe that was happening. I was like, yo, this is great. This is great. And I was just really moved by the experience and everything that was happening. And so we get to the last song. And at the last song, one of the guys that I had met that day he like froze up and collapsed. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself that I wasn't really surprised that it happened because I had seen people fall in church previously. So I wasn't super alarmed. But when he fell, he also like hit his face to the ground. And so he was bleeding and things like that. And so that got us kind of worried. And then he began to like convulse a little. So I figured that he was having a seizure. And it turned out that he wasn't having a seizure. So we let the pastor know. We called 911 and the EMTs were on their way. And we started to pray. And he was doing something that I know now to be called agonal respiration. And even though I had been CPR certified and first aid certified, at this moment in time, I had not thought at all that to give him CPR. We had checked the pulse a couple times and I wasn't able to feel anything, but I let other people do it because I was like, maybe I'm too nervous and maybe like that's the reason why I'm not able to feel anything. And because he was doing the agonal respiration, I thought that he was breathing and everything was fine. But that wasn't the case. The EMTs arrived and they checked his pulse, realized that he didn't have one, and realized that he was definitely having more than a seizure. So they started doing CPR. They started, they brought the defibrillator and just trying to resuscitate him essentially. And we stood there and we waited. They took him off. And this is all within an hour of me meeting him. And so they took him to the hospital that was nearest by, and we got in contact with his wife. This is a very young guy. I'm 23. He's only a couple years older than me. And so long story short, they took him and we waited for about 30 minutes to an hour, and they got back to us and told us that he didn't make it. So I just sat on it and I went to the hospital with my friend and I visited the wife, and I was just trying to be around them. And then I went home and I just had a while to really just think about the situation. From a spiritual standpoint, from a medical standpoint, from just a life perspective. I'm sure like a lot of you guys, when you know somebody that's close to your age rather, and they pass away, it makes you think a lot because you could think to yourself like that could have been me. And so, yeah, I had a lot of experiences. I had a lot of thoughts like that. I had a lot of thoughts regarding my faith, because that's something that's very dear and close to me. I had a lot of thoughts regarding medicine. And so my parents are both medical professionals, and I spoke to them about what was happening, and I asked them what should have been done. And I asked my mom, and my mom told me, I asked her basically like, Mom, if we had given him CPR and we had done the AED and everything in a timely manner, do you think that he would have made it? And she said that there's a good chance that he would have made it. And so at that point, I felt like, wow, like I'm a big part of the reason why this man passed away. Like I felt a huge blame. Like I felt a lot of the blame basically. And so it took me a while to not get over it, but to stop really blaming myself, because I do feel that everything happens for a specific reason. And there was a reason why that had happened that particular day. And I was one of the witnesses of the situation and everything like that. And I was able to go to his funeral and meet his family and just see everybody there and see the way that they were really at peace about the situation. And yeah, so that definitely gave me peace, knowing that they were at peace. And so, but I really had to think a lot about my role going forward as a future doctor, future medical professional, and, the ability to react in situations and the ability to act on knowledge that you have. And that was really like the most pressing thing to me, because I was like, wow, like I know how to give CPR. There was a defibrillator literally probably like 5 feet from me in the same place that we were. And nothing in me occurred to give this man this attention that he needed medically. All I thought to do was to call 911 and kind of wait around. And so I really, at that point, I thought to myself, like, I never want to be in a situation in which I don't know what to do to best serve somebody and to best provide somebody with the care that they need. Because ultimately, in being a physician, whether you're working in an emergency or any other thing, like that's really what we're trained to do. You're trained to serve. You're trained to use all the knowledge that you learned over your years of schooling and training in order to best provide care to somebody, in order to best serve somebody in a holistic manner, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. And so that experience for me really made me solidify the fact that I really truly want to become the best servant that I can. Not only in medicine, but in life. But in order to do so in medicine, it really is going to take that training mentally, not only medically, but mentally, just to be able to know what to do in a certain situation. I never want to feel that I have a lack of knowledge, and that lack of knowledge is the reason why somebody has to pass away. Like, if I could help it, if I could learn something that is going to help somebody else and help somebody, their life and their family's life and everybody connected to them, then I want to do like everything that is possible in order to make myself the best person possible to just help facilitate healing, really. And I feel like I spent a lot of time talking about the first half, the story aspect of it, but the part to take from it is like super important. It's something that I probably think about almost every day, because it's difficult to not think about it when I'm just not doing other things, because it was a very moving experience for me. And I try to make myself not forget it. In fact, because I don't want to forget it, because I want to have that same kind of fire and that same kind of drive when I'm learning things in class and I'm trying to teach myself stuff and I'm going over the material and things of that nature, and just not to ever think that anything that I'm learning is not necessary or beneficial to the whole experience, really, of becoming a physician. Like, I never want to skip over something and think, and later on not know it as well as I need to in order to help somebody that might have that thing that I wanted to skip over. Like, everything is important. Every detail is important. In being in the medical field, like, there's not a single detail I feel that is not going to contribute in some way, shape, or form to somebody that you encounter. And that's the thing about this field that I feel like is different than a lot of other fields, and that the thing that you learn about in textbooks are like actual real life things. Like, these are things that people are dealing with on a regular basis, and things that people are going to come to you with situations and problems in which you hold the answers to in your mind ultimately. And so, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. Anybody that might have had a similar experience, I bear witness with that. And I know that there are people like me who really want to become physicians in order to be facilitators of healing and just agents of change and agents of servitude ultimately. And so, yeah, I'm grateful to be able to share that experience with you guys. I'm glad that I'm able to talk about it now, because I know that it's a situation that can benefit many, even though, it happened to be a negative experience initially. And then also the second part of it is that when it comes to medicine, like, I don't believe that we have all of the answers. I think that there's a reason why we don't have every single answer to every single question. Because we're human beings at the end of the day, and we're, created in order to learn things that are going to help people. But there are certain things that we're just not going to be able to understand. And that's something that I had to come to terms with as well. Because if I tried to understand everything, then I would go crazy, because it's not possible to understand everything that occurs. Medically, from a medical standpoint, the man that I spoke about that passed away, they didn't find the reason why he passed away. He was completely healthy. He was in the Air Force, 27-year-old man, nothing wrong, collapsed and didn't come back. So, like, what is the reason why something like that occurs? Nobody knows. I don't know. But I know that there's a reason why that had to happen. And so I have faith in that. I have faith in that, that God has a reason for why he does everything. And so I could be comfortable in that. I could be comfortable in not having all of the knowledge. I can aspire to have all the knowledge that's possible for me to gain, but ultimately there's no way that I'm ever going to know anything. And so I could be comfortable in knowing, where I'm at and where I stand and who I'm supposed to be. And so, yeah, a little longer than I expected to be, but I'm glad that I was able to talk about this, and I hope that somebody can benefit from this talk, this experience that I was able to have. And so, yeah, I look forward to you guys listening to this and hearing this, and hopefully y'all could take from this. Anybody that's listening, I just wish you the best in your journey. I invite anybody that's listening to subscribe on iTunes or Google, and also to connect with me. Again, my name is Curtis Mensah on Pre-Med Star. Best of luck to you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Curtis, so much for being willing to share that story with us. I know it could not have been easy for you to relive that, those feelings and that experience itself. We really do appreciate it, though. I know that when I was listening to you, it really got me thinking about how I would handle death in the emergency department, and how I want to start preparing now to make sure that I have to deal with death as minimal as possible. So thank you so much for being willing to share that with us. I hope all of you viewers gain something from that as well. It's very rare that people will be willing to share those kind of stories with us. So I hope you guys got a lot from that, and it kind of got you guys thinking as well. Now, on a lighter note, I do have some announcements for this week. Of course, don't forget to jump on premedstar.com. It's a great site for all of us to connect. Like Curtis said, he's on there if you would like to connect with him. I'm on there as well if you guys have any questions about Pre-Med Voice, or if you would just like to say hello. I'd love to hear from all of you guys. Of course, don't forget to press that subscribe button as well. We have loved all the feedback that we've gotten so far, but we would love to hear some more from you, and we would love to see you guys sharing this with your friends and family. But don't forget to press subscribe. Now, if you would like to be featured in this podcast like Curtis has, like Aaron Dotson has, please email us at voice@premedstar.com, and we'll get you all the details you need to send us your own episode. So thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to us. We really do appreciate it. We hope you guys are enjoying everything that we're putting out for you guys, and we will see you all next week.
Turn up. Let's go. Turn up. Let's go.